Good afternoon. My name is Piotr Stawirej, and today we are going to talk about the communication, how it can speed up your career or slow it down. I need you to listen to me very carefully because I'm an expert in this topic. I came to you from a far away, so pay attention. There is a lot of knowledge I want to share with you, so there is no time for any questions during this talk. If you can't keep up, that's basically your problem. Maybe this session is not for you. If you can't understand these basic things, not my problem. Let's to be clear, I'm not going to repeat myself. I don't have time for that. I'm too important also. As far as I know, there are other sessions currently in this venue, so feel free to leave. Here are the doors. If we already agreed how is this talk going to look like, then can we begin? Thank you. Okay, time. What did just happen? Don't be intimidated. First of all, I've just killed my first impression, and probably some of you would like to tell to me that I need to focus already. Second thing I would like to tackle is, do you think this is the natural way of doing communication in the IT world? Yes, and there are two things about this answer, yes. First, I know that maybe you think right now, yeah, this is the sarcastic, funny answer. However, there is another side of this coin. Unfortunately, sometimes it's not funny and not sarcastic, and unfortunately, we are communicating our thoughts, our ideas in that way, not only to our colleagues, but also to our managers and non-technical people. And it really slowed down us not only in our career, but also as a humans. So what are my goals? I would like to share with you my experience during my over 12 years in the software industry, what I've did wrong and how I've stopped developing my career and how I could develop it faster. And I would like to share with some basic, really basic techniques which you can apply next day. And in the very short period of time, I mean like in the couple of upcoming months, it will allow you to speed up your career and improve your communication. So I hope you will find, or maybe not, some of these talks familiar with your situation, because as you said, this is the way how we communicate in the IT. Some time ago, when I was reading some book about the code reviews, on one of the pages there was a sentence. That's one reason I don't miss IT, because programmers are very unlikable people. In aviation, for example, people who greatly overestimate their level of skills are all dead. Yeah, this was by Philip Greenspoon, co-founder of Ars Digita, and it was funny at the first thing, but I was starting to thinking and why it was placed in the book about how you do the code review. So maybe there is something in our industry which doesn't work on this level. And probably it has something to do also with a feedback I've received a couple of times that I have aggressive communication. So let's see if I will be able now to restart this presentation, starting with the smile, the easiest thing which allows us to communicate more effectively in more pleasant way. So let's see if I will be able to erase this beginning, unfortunate beginning, so don't vote yet. So restart and go with the smile and positive attitude. Who is familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect, with this chart specifically? Okay. So this chart on the vertical line, we have confidence, and in the horizontal, we have wisdom, which is knowledge plus experience. And what is this chart about? So when we are starting the new topic, we are starting learning about a new technology, maybe how to communicate. So we starting reading some articles, reading some books, maybe watch some vlog or watch some presentations. And we have impression at the beginning that we are super confident, we already know nothing. This topic is pretty basic, I'm an expert already. But when we are starting to dive into any topic, this chart said that we are reaching the valley of despair, so I know nothing. So there is huge ocean of knowledge in this specialization, which I'm not aware, and I have to learn everything. I'm the dumbest person in the room. Then we have the slope of enlightenment, when we are starting to building our knowledge, being better in what we are going to do. And here we are reaching this plateau of sustainability. There is one line which personally I'm missing in this chart, is this one. So here you are already dead. So maybe when you are exploring some area, it is so huge ocean of knowledge that the natural cause you are going to die and you will never gather all the knowledge you would like to have. Who thinks this chart is true? Okay. So let's go to another chart. This looks more like data science because we have some data and they put them in the Excel. So they process something and they do something on this Excel. So a couple months ago, there was a neurological block which put under the examination this Dunning-Kruger effect, but the chart from the previous slide, this one. And they gather people, but not only the rookies, the novice, but also an experts in their domains, and they gave them the test. And what this chart is saying from the scientific point of view. So, for example, we have 100%. This is the max score you can reach in the test score. Remember that the group was novice and an expert, and people have to solve this test. In the green line, we have actual test score, and the red one and the blue one is perceived test score and perceived ability. And what this chart is saying to us, like the 75% of the people greatly overestimate their level of skills. So the previous Dunning-Kruger effect, this meme from the internet, says that only novices overestimate their level of skills, their powers. However, when we examine this, it appears that no matter how experienced you are, for example, in the soft skills, in the communication, there is 75% chances that you are still doing it wrongly. So, even in the technical part, there is a chance that we are in 75% situations, we overestimate our powers, our knowledge. So we should keep it in mind that maybe there is a chance that I am not always right. Who recognized this guy? Who saw Transformers? In the Transformers universe, this guy is called Shockwave. And what was special about the Shockwave? This guy has no emotions, zero emotions. He was only driven by logic. Can we be successful when we are driven only by logic and shut down all emotions? Yes, he was pretty successful. He was at some point even in charge of the Decepticons. However, it doesn't work with the humans, because we are creatures of emotions. We have all this joy, hate, sadness, and all other emotions I can't even think about right now. And we are full of prejudice, we are motivated with pride and vanity and stuff like that. And sometimes we have this feeling that it is hard to contain all those emotions, especially when someone approaches you and says something like, you write crappy code, or your architecture sucks. Why you can't keep the deadline? Yeah? So it's hard to contain all those emotions, and we are fighting with people. Let's get back in the time like 70 years ago. There was studies for advancement of teaching, and they are examining the people who work in finance with other people. And they try to examine how emotions impact your success, your financial success. And they examine and determine that 85% of your success depends how you handle the emotions and how you handle other people. And it was maybe not shocking examination, because when you have to deal with people, this is like part of your job description. However, they have an electricians that time also. And they thought like, hey, if we already have this examination, maybe we can examine the electricians, the engineers. Let's examine what impact on their success. And here, they were stunned. Because why? It appeared that also on the engineers, on electricians, 85% of their success depends on how they handle emotions and how they handle the people. And they also would like to confirm this, so it was confirmed by Carnegie Institute of Technology. So, as an engineers, we need to have a chart. So look, this red part is pretty big, 85%. Based on those studies I've just said, this is what impact your career, your financial success, and your way in being better with people. 85% is emotions. And this small part here is technical knowledge. So maybe if we would like to speed up our career, we should focus a bit more on how we are handling people, how we are communicating with them, and not spending another night developing technical skills, learning another framework, another cloud provider, whatever. Now I would like to dive into some basic techniques which you can apply, and we can apply already when we get back from this conference, when we can apply it in your workplace and even in your home. And all those situations are not made up. As I said at the beginning, I've made all those mistakes I would like to share, and I would like you to avoid in the future. So let's start with the criticism. When I was a boy, I had a German Shepherd called Sharik, of course. So I would try to teach him some basic tricks, like give me a paw, sit down, whatever. And each time he was successful with this trick, I rewarded him with some food. And many years ago, the Professor B.F. Skinner, psychologist, said that animals rewarded for good behavior will learn much faster and effectively than punished ones. The message is here that you shouldn't reward your colleagues with food when they do what you told them. However, maybe there's an idea that maybe when we behave nicely to other people, we will have the bigger impact. Imagine someone approaches us, maybe it's not hard to imagine, and said, you wrote this crappy code. And what you are going to do? You are going to defend your child. He attacked your child. So what this person will do? This person will justify himself, so will say, no, this is not true. And the worst case scenario here is he will condemn you in return. So, but I saw your code in the previous code review, and you call this the hexagonal architecture. So, you see, there will be a fight, and the person will justify, and your criticism will hit you back. And this is the unpleasant thing. Many years ago, imagine we are participating in the code review. There is the one guy in the team who ordered every sprint, every 2 weeks, we're gonna have a group code review. So please give me your code, we are going to examine it. Next week or next sprint, another person, another part of the code, we will examine it. And this person is pretty nitpicky, said, this is the strategy pattern. You never saw any design patterns. Your names are not pronounceable. You cannot apply the simple, solid principles, and so on and so on. How we feel, how we would feel if someone will attacking us on each review that way. And let me rephrase this. Imagine that after some period of time, the guy who was nitpicky, who ordered this code review every 2 sprints, gave his codes to the review. What do you think? What happened? They crucified him. Who was that person? Yeah, so this was the most stressful code review I've ever attended, but this was also the best lesson one of the best lessons I ever attended. Why? These people, even if their remarks was valid and I did some mistakes in the code, the way they communicate this was pure revenge. They just want to condemn me in return. They just want to release their steam because I was nitpicky for them, and now they have their revenge. So this is how it works. So remember, if you condemn someone, it can hit you back. What do we care about? Health, pretty obvious. We all would like to feel pretty young and healthy and live long and prosper. Food, I don't know how about you, but I don't like starving. Sleep, if you are getting older as me, the 7 hours of sleep is a must. Money, or what money can buy, for example, peace, the security. Life in the hereafter, sexual gratification, wrong conference, we are not going to tackle this. The well-being of our children, and the feeling of importance. At this conference, which part we can tackle? What do you think? A feel of importance. We all would like to feel important, maybe on some meeting. I need to talk. I need to see that people need to see that I'm proactive. Manager has to see that I'm proactive, that I always have to say something. People need to listen to me because I'm the most important person on this meeting, and I only know what to do to move this project forward. Who recognized those gentlemen? A little hint. The one here with the money bag is the Rockefeller, one of the most wealthiest men who lived on Earth. And at this side with the gun, we have a Dillinger, the gangster. How they received or gained their level of importance. The Rockefeller built hospitals. So he felt important when people praised him for, oh, you are helping those poor people, you are building hospitals for slums and so on. And he felt important because he was helping people. And Dillinger used what? Intimidation. He robbed the bank and screamed, don't worry, I will not hurt you, but I'm Dillinger. And he gathered his level of importance by intimidation, by fear, but basically not helping people. So what's the message here? Like, if you are going to intimidate people or scream at them, and what is worse, you are their superior, it can be real ambition killer for your coworkers. Because for you, maybe, it is like temporary steam relief. You are going to scream at someone, you will not remember this in the 5 minutes. However, next time, however, for this person, it will not, there is a highly possibility that this person will remember this for the longer period of time, sometimes for the months, or it can really impact this person's development and how he or she will behave in work. So imagine a situation, you are sitting on the open space, and there is one guy who are standing on his colleague and yelling at him. Who was yelling? Of course, me. And my boss was like, Piotr, stop yelling at Adam. And what was my response that time? Diamonds are created under the pressure. And I wonder why Adam is no longer working with us. So probably I did not help him grow and motivate him enough and build a pleasant environment for working with us. So sometimes diamonds are maybe not created under the pressure. So how we can win the people of our way of thinking? First of all, we can think about what these people want and put in the other person's shoes. So for example, would you like to have faster pull request review? So what I would like to achieve, my personal goal was like I would like to have the small commits. But what the other person, what the teams will gain, because I see the people struggling, like you're receiving this 500 lines on the pull request and it takes you like 2-3 hours to review, and people are like unhappy because they may seem like they are losing their time. So how we can maybe not enforce, how we will leverage to using the smaller pull request. When you are saying like, hey, maybe when we are going to do the smaller pull request, we will decrease time on the pull request on the code review itself. What about introducing, for example, some design patterns or some integration patterns or some architecture, but people are not friendly with the Scrum, with the design patterns, and maybe we shouldn't use these words, but what about, do you want to have sustainable software delivery? So do you think if we are going, for example, create this continuous integration server and we are commit our code more often, it will be smaller, it will be easier integrated with the master, we will have less conflicts. Doesn't sound this better? What will you gain after hiring me? Maybe the best strategy for hiring is not like you are approaching the recruiter and says, okay, we are in the IT, so I would like to have this 20,000 zloty, fruits on every day, all the benefits, the swimming pool, whatever you can imagine. But what is missing in this statement? What you are bringing to the company? Maybe when we will rephrase this and starting like, hey, I have the particular set of skills which allows you to introduce the continuous integration, continuous delivery way of working. I have the skills to integrate your software system, provide the sustainable software delivery. It will decrease the amount of the errors on productions reported by users. And also this will decrease the amount of money you are spending and also relieve you from some stress. And I can help you with that. This sounds like someone you would like to hire in your team. Next thing I've learned in the hard way was like, we need to be interested in other people. And do you think we are interested in our people, in other people, and in the honest way? Right now, during this presentation, we have like floods, some fires, wars, and other cataclysms right now, during this talk, where people are literally dying right now. Every 40 seconds, I've heard recently someone in this world committing a suicide. So people are dying. Do we think about this? We know this because we have the social media, the news, whatever. So we are aware about this, but do we care about this? The answer is no. We are more interested in the stain on our shirt after lunch than in these things. So this will bring us another perspective, how we are seeing ourselves and how we are seeing other people and how we should approach them. Because we are in most cases interested in ourselves. So maybe we could try to give another person the exclusive attention. One of the life changer and game changer for me was listen, don't think what you want to say next. Don't we have something like this, like when we talk with the other person, we think already when this person will stop talking because I have an answer for him or for her. Do we have something like this? Like, yeah, so stop talking, I already know what you should do. And when you are going to be aware that nothing bad will happen if you will listen till the end and not think what to say next, you will gather more knowledge about this person and about his or her problem. And it will help you help that person better. So this was like game changer for me. Do not interrupt, exclusive attention, listen this person carefully, and for God's sake, don't interrupt and think what to say next. And try to see things honestly from the other person's perspective. When we are arguing about something, let's imagine someone approaches again. I'm the clean code fan, so there will be a lot of examples from the clean code area. Someone approaches to you and says, like, you wrote this crappy code. And here we have argument, possibility of argument, because you can say what? You can, no, I did not, and now we have like something like a little fight. But how we can avoid this argument? Someone approaches us and says, okay, you wrote this crappy code, and your response is, you're right, I'm also not happy with that code. Maybe you have some ideas how I could improve that. There is no argument. You both agree that this was crappy code. So now you can focus how we can improve that situation, what we can do about this. Next thing is why we want to prove someone is wrong. We are in anxiety, we don't feel bad that day, we have bad sleep or whatever, we would like to show our superiority. Whatever reason, it will not make you a friend with that person. And in the long term, it will not be a successful path for you. If you are just want to show that now I'm the boss, I won this situation, I was someone in these 3 seconds. No, this is not how it works. We need to work with the tact, diplomacy, and conciliation, which is, as we already observed, we are not very familiar with this approach in the IT world. One of the most important topics, which I've already mentioned, is handle your temper, which is hard for me personally, because I'm a pretty nervous person. But you may see this like developers are arguing about something and they cannot reach their destination, they cannot agree on something, there are a lot of screamings, bad emotions, and we were all there, we all faced that. There was a spring planning once when there was like 4 very experienced architects, developers, and we have to decide, because another real-life situation, we have to decide at this meeting what kind of the database we are going to use for our service. Is it going to be Postgres or Elasticsearch? And it was crucial to, at this meeting, to have this decision. And there was a huge fight, a lot of bad emotions, screaming. And what do you think? Did we agree on something? No. Do you think we changed the subject and were productive in estimating and planning other stories? No, we have to cancel whole meeting. There, of course, was some managers one-to-one talks about this situation. So all sides gather their feedback and receive the feedback. We've wasted company time, our colleagues' time. We put a lot of stress not only on ourselves, but the people not involved in the decision-making process, but person who were at the time in this meeting room. And it was complete waste of time, like 9 people. And we have to redo this in the proper way next time. So if we are not going to contain our anger, our emotions, it could destroy whole meeting, and it has impact on everyone in the room. Now I would like to dive in some examples from the code reviews. I promise after a few slides I'll get you the point. Why? There are the pretty basic things we can do when we are doing the code review, especially when we are doing the comments on the pull request. Imagine we have feedback from someone, you misspelled successfully. What we are going to think? Let's think for a second. Are you going to interpret this like, hey, good buddy, you missed successfully, but I still think you are smart, it was probably just a typo? Or we will get the interpretation, you misspelled successfully Dambas. And here we have the dot of hate, yeah? Probably some of us will think about this situation. How we can give the feedback about the code in the more decent, proper way. So we can replace in the first place you with we. So can you rename this variable to something more descriptive like seconds remaining? Becomes can we rename this variable to something more descriptive like seconds remaining? Remove the subject from next is remove the subject from the sentence. So suggest remaining to something more descriptive like seconds remaining becomes what about remaining this variable to something more descriptive? Another one, tie nodes to principles, not opinions. So when you give the remark like we should split this class in 2, nothing says much about why. However, if you will rephrase this like right now this class has like 2 responsibilities, downloading and parsing, when we will split it as a single responsibility principle says, we could have this in 2 separate classes. It will be much more easier to test and maintenance. So why? And applying those tricks from these previous 3 or 4 slides, what I've gained with these simple tricks. I've argued with the one very experienced developer, and from period of 6 months, when I've applied this approach to the code review, I came from, I don't agree with you. Basically, every change I've proposed, every remark was like, I don't agree with you, I will not fix that. And after 6 months of applying these techniques about this kind communication, one time he started, I agree with everything you said, I will fix that. And I was in shock because I didn't assume that such silly things has such impact on other person. Again, listen first, listen what people have to say to you, let them finish, don't interrupt. Don't resist, debate or defend, avoid argument. We would like to avoid all those barriers and looking for areas when we can work on something together. Active listening. I've had a situation like I had a friend in my work. For many years, we were just like, hi, how are you? But when I applied those techniques, again, I was shocked because when I applied this active listening, and I was interested what's in her work, what's in her life, and she told me after next couple of months when I met her, she welcomed me as long time no see friend. And it was not like hi, and we go from our directions, but again, we have an honest conversation about our work, our futures, and our lives. So I was in shock that these things really works and improving my my workplace in the first place. When you would like to say, you are wrong, do you think it's a good idea? Maybe, again, look for areas for improvement. How many millionaires do we have in this room? I'm also not a millionaire yet. But if we think that we are almost always right, so why we are not a millionaires? If we would like in 55% time right, it is enough to make a smart decision, and this 5% is enough to invest, gambling, whatever, starting a business with the right decisions and gain you a lot of money. So what? We are not even in the 55% right? Imagine we are in the situation like we have a very stressful situation in our team where we have attrition like 35%. It means like each month one person is leaving team and goes to seek for another job and leave the company. And we would like to fix that situation. We are engineers. We would like to solve this ASAP. So what we are doing? We are booking a flight to our boss, which is in another country. We are scheduled a one-on-one meeting with our boss. And what we are saying? What do you think? Of course, we are taking one of our books about the managing people. We open at desired page and saying, listen, man, people are leaving and you are not doing your job pretty well. This is the basic things you have to do. This is these 8 points and you have to execute them. Do you think this was an exaggerated situation? No. And who said that? Guilty. Someone also at the end. So, do you think I was successful with gaining what I want? And why? And I received the feedback after this talk, like, even if I were right, what I've noticed and the way of improvement, I didn't receive the support. Why? Because of my way of communication. And this was the stopper, the only one. Instead of that, let's focus on asking questions. And when we are asking questions, we are letting this person to talk about their problem, and we can focus on how we can improve and solve the situation. Let's take the responsibility of our actions. There is like 100% chances when you admit that you did something wrongly. For example, I've deleted the production database. I've went to my boss and, sorry, I've deleted production database. And I've admitted it quickly, and I took the full responsibility of that actions. So there's like 100% chances that your action will be diminished, and it was. So it was like, don't worry, I did this in the past too. We have a backup, no problem, be careful in the next time. But if you will hide something and not take your responsibility for that, we will not take responsibility, then someone will be really angry when the production will stop. So begin with the friendly way, with the smile. There's also some like neuromuscular response of our organism. So we would like to keep people in the affirmative direction. So for example, we approach with someone from security and saying like, okay, we think like the security matters. Yes, yes. We would like to work on that. Could you help us with that? Yes. We already had these 2 affirmative statements like yes, yes. And this also, this is like from the evolution from the many years ago, like our organism are prepared for the open conversation, for the cooperation, and not for the fighting. So we would like to also avoid this, like avoid argument. Let's move our conversation in a way like people will go with the affirmative direction. Appreciate people and appreciate them in front of others. There are still companies, I know, like when you are priced for something, it is hidden, don't tell other people. This is not what we would like to achieve. We would like to price people in front of others and show that they are important for us. if we are working on something, for example, we would like to introduce the new way of documenting our software processes, like, for example, C4 model or whatever, or new architecture. So let's invite those persons like, hey, I would like to introduce the C4 model, for example, for our architecture. Can we split? I will show you something. Could we work together on documenting your part and my part of the architecture? Bring that person together. Why? There is a lot of chances that this person will not diminish in its own work, because he or her already participated and did some work. And there is a magic statement when you are pretty pissed on someone's work. So you can say, like, I don't blame you one iota for feeling as you do. If I were you, I would undoubtedly feel just as you do. So let's put ourselves in the same shoes at that time, because maybe that person didn't have all the knowledge we already have about this process, about this software, about the solution. And now, after some period of time, it's easy for us to say that this was wrong or this was good. But at that time, there is a highly probability that if we were that person, we would decide the same way. And as Antoine de Saint-Exupéry says, I have no right to say or do anything that diminishes a man in his own eyes. What matters is not what I think of him, but what he thinks of himself. Hurting a man in his dignity is a crime. As I said, for us it will be like 5 seconds releasing the steam, but for our coworker, our friend, it will build a resentment and it can be held for the rest of his or her life. Who remember this Dangerous Minds movie? Someone was watching this? Yeah. This was a pretty old movie when Michelle Pfeiffer was starring as a teacher with the troubled youth, and they were not succeeding with their work, with their work as a students. However, what she did, she said that I know, like, you are a student for me, and you are capable of handling any knowledge I would like to pass to you. And what happened? People believed like they are able to handle this and they were a students. How it works in our industry. For example, you would like to introduce the test-driven development in your team. When you are approaching with some exercises and you are going to commenting people like, I see that your brain is not able to handle such sophisticated technique, maybe this was not the best incentive. However, when you are saying, hey, I saw that you did correctly the exercises I give you, and this is the same situation how you are applying, this is exactly the same approach how you can apply this in your work, then the incentive is more positive. Jerzy Grębosz. Who knows the guy? Yeah. And he stated at the preface of his book, like, there are two kinds of way of writing books. First is, look how smart I am, versus look how simple it is. I have impression that most of my teachers in studies was, look how smart I am. So this is how we would like to go with our approach to people, showing them, helping them how the things are easy for them and they are capable of doing something. And now, the safety subroutines. The safety subroutines I've learned a couple months ago, which helped me greatly. For example, if you are a nervous person and you cannot contain your anger, in the first place, try to build a safety subroutines, like in try-catch in the source code. In the try, there is a emotional explosion, and your catch is your subroutine in your head, and says, shut up. So just shut up and don't talk. And you can, if you can't handle this, there's another safety subroutine, run away. So leave the meeting room. It can sound strange, but it works. When you are feeling anxiety or you are not feeling well enough that day and we are seeking for fight, just leave the room, communicate nicely, like maybe I'm not in the condition to have a decent conversation today. Can we reschedule this? It really helps. Don't don't destroy the bridges you've already built. So I'm still working on checking my subroutines if they operate correctly. So this is pretty nice thing which worked for me. Many times I get this message from my colleagues or maybe from other people like, why you are promoted when I am better at technical stuff? So people have those thoughts, and also I have such thoughts in the past. So why someone is promoted, but I'm better at the technical part? Why? Because we develop the technical skills. And when such person, and this is also real life examples from my experience, when such person receives many times a feedback like, hey, you are pretty decent or more than decent in the technical stuff, develop communication part. So what do you think? What that person did? Develop more technical stuff. Because why? I like developing and playing with technical stuff. I don't like to work with the soft skills. And this person is still on its position. This person wasn't promoted. And there's a lot of people who are not promoted because the only blocker they have are the way they're handling other people. Why it's matter? Because even if we are extremely good at our technical part, we need to sell our ideas to managers, to our colleagues. I would like to introduce the way of solid principles, the test-driven development, the C4 model for documenting software architecture, introducing how we should split software on the modules, stuff like that. We have to be a marketer. We have to sell our ideas not only to our colleagues, but to our product owner, to the management, to the business. Not again like we need to do refactoring. This is nothing for business. They don't care about refactoring, but I would like to decrease the costs. We need to learn how to talk with non-technical people and sell our ideas. And it raises real frustration. People are not getting the promotions, and I see them frustrated. And they are thinking about changing, for example, the company, but the problem stays. They will face again the same issue, just in the different workplace. So you may say like, hey man, but handling people, this is part of your job description because you are a trainer in the Bottega, for example, and you are paid for that. Yes, I'm paid for that. However, I would not become a trainer at Bottega if I wouldn't handle the people, because I've started learning and training people in the first place in my workplace. If I wouldn't be successful in handling people in my company, in TomTom, and sharing my knowledge, I would never become a trainer outside my company. So these skills matter in the first place in your workplace, in our workplace. What next? We need to experiment, try to apply some of those techniques, maybe not all of them at once. But what I would like to not hear from you is like you are going to work on the Monday, approach to someone and says, okay, I was on DevConf and there was a talk about the communication, and now I know what you are doing wrong. And I now will tell you what you have to improve. So no, this is not the way. Look at the mirror and say it to the mirror. Takeaways from this session. Mostly there are some bullet points here. However, as I'm an idealist, I would like to give you something you can start working with. Not only the link on Twitter about this presentation, but I've prepared some cheat sheets. So you are welcome to grab one, keep it in your pocket, in your desk. This is like cheat sheet based on the how to win friends and influence people. I also recommend this book, if you haven't read it yet. If you don't want to read it, this is the compact version. I believe you are capable of handling this. So please feel free to grab one. And feedback is more than welcome. If you have any questions, would like to talk about something, I'm available at the corridors, at the hallways. So thank you very much.